Good day, this is Ticker Tape Digest with your mid-session report for Friday, January 31. We finish up this month and we move on to February, which tends to be a bearish month most times. We have the Dow right now off 130 points and the loss 0.82%. The Nasdaq you can see down less, 0.41%. So the market continues to be under pressure right now. It was down over 200 points earlier in the session that has come back fairly good to trim its loss. You can see declines in advances on the big board, 1,788 to 1,180. Our featured breakout issue on Thursday and our feature accumulation play on Wednesday is UA, and that's Under Armour. The company makes the sweatshirts and things like that. Today the stock acting well considering the market. It's up 223 to 106.99. Here's a look at Under Armour's chart. Big gap move to the upside, and today it follows through. That's very impressive action. As I said, we featured this issue and a report in the prior session, and the stock continues to act well. The ability of the issue to move higher with the market being so weak is very impressive. Here's a look now at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, standing at 15,715, right near that support line, and the Dow has come off quite a bit from the peak there at around 16,500. The CCI momentum indicator, I think something very important to watch, is a minus 109.36. I would still rate that as bearish. Notice the pattern of the CCI. Made a peak there in December and then came down. Has not been able to make a higher high at all, and that's the key thing you want to look for. The volume is contracting over the past few sessions. So that's constructive for the bulls. I think a very important thing to do is to watch how the market closes today in the last hour of trading. We're getting a lot of earnings coming in. They're going to have an important impact on the general market averages. Rate the Dow bearish. Here's a look at the Nasdaq Composite Average, and you can see it stands right now at 4,104. It had the breakdown and starting to try to consolidate in here. The CCI at a minus 78.43. I'd rate that as bullish, but you have to be very careful. Sometimes when these markets, especially one that like the Nasdaq that's had a fabulous run up, and they have a breakdown like this, they may consolidate and then try to form a sideways basing pattern, or they may roll and break down for another leg down. So that's something you have to be very careful. I've seen that in past years, so again, be very watchful of the Nasdaq. Here's a look at the stock market returns for February, the upcoming month, and you can see over the past several years it had 36 up years, 28 down years. The total return over that period of time a minus 0.20%. So it tends historically to be a bearish month. Now if you look at our table there, you can see on the left side the up years, 2013, 12, and 11, and 10. So the prior 4 years it's had good gains, impressive, 285, 295, 4.06, and 1.11. So you have to be very cognizant of the seasonal patterns. Now if you go back and look at 2009, bear market time, down 10% that month, and then down 3% the prior month, and then 2%. So it's something very important to watch. Notice also it had 2001 a decline of 9%. So some of the declines in February have been pretty severe. So you have to be very careful. Here's a look at our breakout list so far today, and we have 14 issues, and leading our list is Chipotle Mexican Grill, CMG, the company that sells the Mexican food, and they're kind of a fast food type operation. Big gain today, 65 points to 559. The percentage gain impressive, 13%. The earnings good, 253 versus 195. The stock is hot. And Aspen Technology, which we featured yesterday, is a stock to possibly accumulate. AZPN up 377, 45.37, and the volume running very strong, matched what it does for a whole session already. Earnings good, 25 cents versus 10. Gladfelter GLT up 218, 31.10. QI 3360 Technology, QIHU up 174.99. It clears its base. We've been spotting up on that issue for quite some time. Other breakouts, Computer Programs and Systems, CPSI up 11.96, 68.80. Our biggest percentage gainer among the breakout issues, the earnings 90 cents versus 83. Computer Sciences Corp gaining 630 to 61.46. A nice move there, and heavy volume, 3 times normal. Net good, 98 cents versus 71. And UGI Corp breaks out, up 93 cents, 43.31, and they're going to buy back 10 million shares. And in American Electric Power and Atmos Energy, both breaking out with modest moves. Moving over to our laggards, here's Domtar Corp, UFS, gaining 10.18 to 106.50, a nice breakout on double volume. CFID breaks out, up 6.59, 53.86. Raytheon breaks out, Nextera, and Athena Health Inc. also breaking out too. Here's a look at Chipotle Mexican Grill's stock chart. You can see this issue with a big move back in October with big earnings, and then it does another number today. So a big gap move, very extended to the upside. The volume is strong. Notice the stock had a modest move in the prior session, and the volume was very heavy. It might have been some leakage there where people were anticipating pretty good numbers from this restaurant stock. So the breakout today, pretty good. TTD momentum indicator, top of chart bullish. The AD line though is bearish. It's been trending lower, so there was some selling. So a pretty interesting a tug of war going on there with Chipotle. Now, of course, this company operates the Mexican restaurants with food like guacamole and things like that. Not my bag. Earnings for 2014, it should be up 24%, and then the next fiscal year up 24%. So pretty much a mid 20% type growth stock. Strategy wise, I think you have to be very careful with this one. If you do want to go in, you just want to scale in, and you can put a stop in there around 540 to protect yourself on the downside. I think if it works, you could see a push to about 620. It may need some time to rest above this breakpoint line. Also, chances for a stock split, and if that were to occur, it could pop the stock too. So a couple good things working for Chipotle. Here's Aspen Technology, symbol AZPN. This is one that we highlighted in our prior session as a possible breakout, and boy, it did beautifully today. Gap move to the upside, widening of the spread, pretty good volume. The TTD momentum indicator has exploded to the upside, so this stock in here acting very well. The company is Burlington, Massachusetts based, and the company provides various types of systems and so forth for management, for engineering and manufacturing and supply chain services. The company's earnings outlook for the year ending in June of 2014, this should be up 27%. Very good earnings outlook. And then going out to fiscal 2015 ending in June, earnings should be up 29%. So very good earnings growth. For the quarter ending in March, the Street's looking for a 55% surge in earnings. So some pretty good numbers for this company. I think it's a very good looking breakout, a bit extended in here. If you're aggressive, you could take a full position. If not, just scale in. Put a stop in there around 42.50, just below the breakpoint line. If it works, I think you see a push to 52 to 53. Here's Gladfelter, symbol GLT, and a big move today. You can see the widening of the spread on the breakout. Notice it had a breakout back in October. We had drawn a breakpoint line there, and it faded back hard, and then it regrouped itself, worked its way back. Again, had a little bit of a breakout a few sessions ago and faded back in the base, and now today it breaks out with this big widening of the spread and an expansion in volume. So looking very good, and that AD line there has been trending higher, telling us there's just been pretty good, solid underlying buying in the issue. Company's based in York, Pennsylvania, and it's a producer of specialty papers and also engineered products. So they're in a couple different areas there. The company's earnings outlook, the Street's looking for a net for 2014 to be up 29%. Very good. And for the quarter ending in March, coming up, net should surge 38%, and the next quarter should do pretty good too. So it's a pretty good looking breakout play. They have pretty good earnings coming, and so I think the stock does have chances for a chance to work up to about the $38 area. If you go back and look at our chart here in March, it worked up higher very steadily, and it might be the case in here. So you have to be a bit patient with it. You can put a stop in there around 28.80. Here's QIHOO360 Technology, and of course this is a Chinese stock, and it's one that we've been watching. And notice it had a breakout back in October, faded back in the base, had another breakout attempt a few weeks ago, faded back in the base. We drew this breakpoint zone with 2 lines, and then today it punches through that. Now the volume today isn't all that strong, so not a lot of conviction there, although the AD line's been trending higher, showing that there's been pretty good underlying buying. Now notice the volume bars and see the ones that are blue, and you can see in early January there was some big buying in the stock, and then another surge of buying about mid-January, and now you have the breakout with light volume. So kind of an interesting situation for this company. The firm's going to have really big earnings. For 2014, the street looks for an 81% surge in net to 172 a share from 95 cents a year ago. So the stock sells with a pretty high PE ratio, around 60, but I think that's still okay. Earnings for the March quarter should be up strongly, 19 cents versus 4. So they do have the numbers. The question is, technically, can this stock do it and clear this basing pattern? Put a lot of time in. It looks like about 5 months, so has a chance, I think, to work higher. I think it's suitable for an aggressive investor. You can take a full position if you're like that. If not, just scale in, put a stop in there around 95 to protect yourself on the downside. If it works, look for a chance for a push to about the 118 to 120 area. Here's Computer Programs, symbol CPSI, and on this issue you can see the stock with a big powerful breakout, widening of the spread, gap move, big volume, so really a big push higher. So looking pretty good on this breakout. It's kind of a move that's kind of a blow off the basing pattern. Company is based in Mobile, Alabama, and it's a healthcare information technology firm, and they design and sell various types of technology platforms for the use in small and mid-size hospitals. The company's earnings outlook for 2014, the street's looking for only a 2% rise in earnings, $3 versus $2.95. So it sells with a PE ratio of about 22, which is pretty high given the annual growth rate. Going out to 2015, earnings should be up only 8%. Earnings for the first quarter coming up in 2014 look for a 15% rise in earnings. I'd be careful with this one. It's a blow-off move, massive volume, and the earnings growth doesn't look all that strong, so be watchful of this one. Here's UGI Corp, symbol UGI, and on this stock you can see a breakout from a cup and handle basing pattern, and the stock hung around the top of the base for several sessions, which is very good for a setup, so I think that looks pretty good. This company is based in King of Prussia, North Dakota. The company is involved in the retail distribution of propane and various types of petroleum and gases, LPG gases, and we've seen some pretty good strength in that area, mainly because of the cold. And some of these companies get their really good earnings during the winter type season, so I think that's pretty an interesting industrial section that we're looking at here, benefiting from this cold weather. For the fiscal year ending in September 2014, earnings should rise 11%. 271 is expected versus 245. Earnings for the March quarter should be up about 8%. I think it's a very conservative stock. Might work its way to 48. You could put a stop in there at 42.5, but I'd be very careful with it. Again, it's one of these very conservative plays. Moving to the bear side of the stock market, and we have 6 plays. Hanger Inc., HGR, falls 509 to 34, big drop there. They lowered their earnings outlook. Polypore, PPO, down 355, 32.56. And DFC Global, DLLR, down 258, 799. It's a 24% plunge in the stock, and the volume they're running very heavy, about 7 times normal. Earnings crumbled 6 cents versus 45. Mid-States Pete, MPO, down 75 cents, 454. Resolute Energy down 27 cents to 8. And finally, Krispy Kreme Donuts, KKD, only sweet for the bears, down 18 cents, 17.29. It's had a pretty good comeback, but now weakening. And that's our report for today. We'll be back online again on Monday. Have a nice day and nice weekend.